What is up, my friends? I'm plastic dipping windows. But what for? Let's find out. Alright guys, I am installing my Maxx Air vent fan. I'm not just plastic dipping the window, I'm blacking it out because what I've decided to do is set up my Maxx Air fan not in the roof. As many of you guys know, I have not cut a hole in the roof. I have done basically all my insulation in the roof and everything. So if you're going to put a fan in the roof, that's typically the time to do it before you start putting up panels and installing everything. So why am I choosing to put it in the window? Well, three main reasons, right? Number one, I want my van completely concealed. So I don't really like roof vents because it's pretty obvious when you see a vent on the top of a van that it's a camper van, there's stuff inside, right? So that's not, you know, being super stealth is not a huge deal for me, but it is a factor. So number two is I don't really want to cut a hole in my van. I don't really like the idea of cutting a hole in the roof. This is a 2018. I know lots of people do it to, you know, $70,000 diesel sprinters and all that jazz, but I just don't want to do it. I just didn't want to cut a hole into the roof, to cut it into the roof of the body. So the third main reason, and part of what I really like about this, is if you have a fan with, you know, a shield and all that on the roof, you're not going to be able to, number one, go into parking garages, and number two, go into car washes. So it's just the way it is, you know. Am I, you know, huge into washing my van? No, I like it to be clean. I personally think the van looks amazing. So, you know, I mean, I have a local car wash that's next to me. It looks awesome, and I can just take it to the car wash and do my thing. So did not want to have this large hood on top limit me going into parking garages if I chose to, going to car washes, and it screams, hey, this is a camper van, and I didn't want to cut a hole into the roof. So what I chose to do is install my Maxx Air fan, and what you have here, I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing here. So I've already started this project. I'm actually in the final stages. Much of it is this is very enduring. This is taking a hot minute, but I'm going to lay it all out and then I'll show you guys the finished product once I'm done. So I have mocked everything up. What I've started with is a Maxx Air thin, and the reason why I chose the thin is just for that reason. If you look, it is very thin and the motor does not protrude out from the body of the fan itself. So the reason I did that is because I'm essentially going to put it in the window and then be able to pop the window out. Obviously I'm not doing it to that one, I'm doing it to this one. It was exactly why I plastic dipped the glass. So I had to black out the glass because with the fan mocked up, you can obviously see that there's a fan there. Once it's blacked out, it's going to be, you won't even know that there's a vent fan there from the outside. So starting with the Maxx Air Slim, this is a 4-speed fan. I've done some tests. It's awesome, guys. Now a lot of people would say, with the windows popping out, that's not a lot of surface area for airflow. You know, I looked at it, I did some math, it's more than enough. If this fan flows 900 CFM, so with the amount of surface area of ventilation that I have, it does not restrict it at all. 900 CFM can easily flow through there. I did some tests when everything was mocked up, and I'm going to show you guys once everything's done. It works awesome. So what is the keys with this? Now, number one, obviously I have the fan. That's pretty easy. The fan didn't come this way. I had to kind of disassemble it, so to speak. So I took the hood off of it and some of the mechanical, you know, the hood raising part, because that is an RV fan. So I'll put a link in the description for everything that I used. So normal fan, it was 130 bucks, 4 speeds. It pulls some serious air, and it pulls low amps, which I was really, and low watts, which I was really impressed about. So I'm really happy with the fan itself. Also, I have a pull to lock mechanism, which was a hole that went through. I just put a plug in there and siliconed it. So it is perfectly sealed off. And then I have the screen vent to put it on to keep my fingies or whatever from getting caught if I so choose. So obviously you see this black panel here. This is really what's going to making it all happen. What this is PVC 1/4 inch plastic. Now I'm not super happy with the PVC itself. I really wish I would have got HDPE plastic, high density polyethylene, I think it is. In retrospect, I should have used HDPE. The reason why is because PVC, though it's very strong and impact resistant, it will snap and break, where HDPE is much more resistant. It's much stronger. Lesson learned, if I do have any issues with it, I can always just replace it. Pull it apart, lay this on top of a sheet of HDPE. I've got the template right here. Everything's already fitted and it's good to go. So I'm not totally out, and I'm not really sad about it. But in retrospect, I would have done something a little bit different than PVC, but it served its purpose. So why did I choose plastic and not metal? Well, first of all is weight. This, even though it's 1/4 inch, it's actually really light. So it's light. It's really easy to work with. I don't have a bunch of fabrication tools. You know, I basically use a drill, a jigsaw, and that's about it. Onesie twosies, right? So what this is going to mount to the window. And the way it does that is a series of hardware, which you can see right here, with it joining with brackets and rivnuts. So if you guys don't know what rivnuts are, you guys should know what rivnuts are. There's just another name for it. It's basically a female nut that you can stamp into or rivet into a hole in body. For example, I have a rivnut here, up here, and I even put them in the brackets. So once this Plastidip is completely done drying, I'm going to show you guys exactly how everything mounts up. And of course, the final piece of the puzzle is the bracketry itself. Now you guys gotta love my setup here. The lawnmower and a bike ramp holding a line which has my painted brackets, which is working out really well. So these are almost dry. I've got it probably about another 30 minutes before they're good to touch and completely cured, and then I can start putting everything back together. I didn't want to do just raw aluminum. You guys know how I am. I wanted to make it just give them a little shot of black paint. I primered them, so these are all aluminum brackets. So you know, what do we have here? It's your basic stuff, guys. This is all 1/8 inch thick. We have everything from 3/4 inch wide all the way up to 1.5 inches, and then your regular L bracket. So this is really basic stuff, guys. I cut it with a jigsaw with a metal blade. I have an angle grinder and a vise to make the bends, a vise and a hammer. Not super professional, but I was easily able to shape everything, and yeah, basically do all this with pretty much basic hand tools, guys. This is not rocket surgery. All right, so I'm going to allow this to dry. I'm going to let the Plastidip dry, and then I'm going to set up the camera and I'm going to assemble everything and put it in place. Oh well, let's see what is going on in the van here. Huh. Whoa, oh yeah, the vent fan is mounted up, wired up, and ready to rock. So a couple days later, got everything done. I'm gonna go over you know, how I got everything together, some of the things I did along the way, and then we'll do a quick test and show you guys what I think about the actual operation of this. So everything assembled really well. I think visually it turned out good, the painted brackets. I also, some of the gaps that I had before, just naturally from the bezel, I used this Amazon foam with adhesive to fill some of those gaps in a layered approach. Turned out great. It's actually really good quality stuff. I was pretty impressed. For wiring, I use the Chevy Express OEM wiring harness. I'll have the part number down there in the description as well. So some of the Expresses have power to both doors. Mine only has it to the passenger side door. So I just searched around for the OEM part number, ordered one of that, which it actually came with the OEM harness. You reutilize some of those wires of the harness, and now my vent fan has power. So it's great. Straightforward, love it. As you guys could tell, concealed completely. You cannot tell there is a vent inside my van whatsoever. With the Plastidip blacked out window, you don't even know it's there. So now that everything's mounted up, how does it function? Well, it functions really well and it moves good air, but I guess we can go ahead and address the elephant in the room. With the fan mounted the way it is, how am I going to reach the mechanism to pop the window open and push it out? This is the only part of the project that I'm not super stoked about. The results are, I guess, I wish that they were a little more OEM and a little more functional, but I had a really hard time figuring out a way to do this without compromising my airflow. So let me show you what I got. I got this little tool here, and as you can see, the lever is in between the blades right there. So I can literally pull up on the lever, and once it's unhooked, push out and lock the window out in place, right? This is essentially the process to making the vent fan open up, and then I power it on. I can do all of that from within the van. I've done it because you just essentially use the tool, you hook it, and then push it out with the tool and lock it in. The little tool is just a leftover bracket from my privacy curtain. I'll probably end up putting something together that's a little bit easier to use, maybe a little longer. Not a big deal. Am I super happy about having to do that every time? No, I'm not. I wish that I could have had like an articulation rod or some sort of maybe like a lever that you crank that popped it open. But engineering that would have created two problems. Number one, the vent fan itself, because of the body, would have had to move up, right? So if I would have done that, then the surface area I would have been hitting of the actual vent would have been higher, which could have restricted flow. Again, I did some math. I know that it's not restricting the flow. It flows really well, which I'm going to show you guys here in just a second. But if I would have had to move the vent up to have that articulation rod or any type of lever, I was a little concerned about what it would do to flow. Not to mention actually engineering something that you can repeatedly do and it be durable and have good longevity without something snapping off or whatever. So, you know, engineering automotive solutions that lasts years and years, or at least a season, it takes time and the material and stuff that you do that. So I figured once I mocked everything up, I gave it a try that I could reach through and get the OEM lever, and I can. And that's the way I'm going to do it for moving forward. You know, am I going to get tired of doing it that way? Maybe. Am I going to get some dirt on my fans? Maybe if I'm working on a bike or my hands are dirty? Maybe. But I can clean it up and just move on with life. So I'm going to give that a shot as is, nothing crazy. I'm just going to, you know, open and close. The closing it would be the exact opposite. I use the tool, I hook it, and then push it down and snap it. So, but nonetheless, again, it is completely concealed, as you guys can tell. So another thing is I've been driving around with the fan mounted, no issues whatsoever. You know, this thing's tight, the brackets are working perfectly. There's no cracking, there's no loose jiggling over bumps or anything like that. Everything is really, really solid with the methods that I used for mounting and utilizing the brackets and the rivnuts around to hold the fan up. So just a word on the power. As you guys saw, I turned on number one. I can turn on number, let me get back. It's a 4-speed fan. That's 1, 2, it's moving good air. So this thing really does, I can feel air blowing from the window all the way around and out here. And I have done some tests inside the van with the doors shut and the rain guards for the front windows vented. It pulls great air, guys. I gotta admit that the ventilation in the summer should be really, really good. I'm anxious to see as temps rise to give it a try and see how it functionally works. It hasn't been super hot, so any of my tests are kind of rudimentary compared to what it's going to be like whenever it's 85, 90 degrees outside. So I am excited to give that a shot. So overall, I am very happy with the project. You know, I was kind of thinking outside of the box. I already told you guys the reasons why I wanted to do the fan inside of the van and not on the outside, and I think it worked out really, really well. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to have a website. I'm going to be making kits. We're going to be selling them. I'm going to quit my, I'm not quitting my job. I'm not going to be doing that. But if you guys do have questions exactly about how this is, maybe some measurements you want me to take, if you have a Chevy Express, feel free to hit me up and I'll try to help you guys out as much as possible. Hope you guys get out there, get on two wheels, and ride a dirt bike. This is Accelerate once again, signing off.